Authorities step up mosquito control as 5 imported cases of chikungunya fever are reported so far this year. Transport chief gives updates on legislative changes to medical examination for elderly drivers. And Donald Trump says he will meet Vladimir Putin next Friday in Alaska. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The city has recorded 5 imported cases of chikungunya fever so far this year. Authorities have stepped up mosquito control near the patients' residences and in areas with a higher mosquito infestation index. Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan said he was confident that the city can keep a lid on the chikungunya fever outbreak. Friday saw a confirmed case of chikungunya fever involving a 66-year-old woman residing at Shekle 1 estate in Kwaichong. The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department sent multiple officers donning protective clothing to the residential complex in the morning to spray insecticide into drains and flower beds. As for another possible case, the patient lives around Saiwan Ho Street, where mosquito control measures were undertaken. The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department unveiled the first batch of Rapid Trap Index and Density Index of Asian tiger mosquitoes for August, covering 13 districts. 3 districts logged an increase: Chimsha Chui East, Shatin East, and Sokun Wat, with index in Sokun Wat reaching 16.4%. Under the government's new arrangements, the FEHD will step up mosquito control in areas where the index is between 10 and 20%, tightened from the previous threshold of 20% or above. This resident at Sokun Wat says the mosquito infestation in the area is serious, with frequent bites while they wait for buses. Tumon District Councillor Fong Pui Yin notes that mosquito control efforts should not rely solely on the FEHD because different places are under the management of different authorities. So collective campaigns are necessary across all stakeholders, Fong says. Chief Secretary of Administration Eric Chan meanwhile says authorities will strengthen mosquito control at border points, and he is confident that the outbreak can be contained. Chan also commented on the black rainstorm warning issued on Tuesday. It has shattered August records and brought flooding to multiple districts. Many workers still headed to work under the adverse weather conditions. Eric Chan says employers will be held liable if they insist workers report for duty under such unsafe or unreasonable circumstances. He says a Typhoon 8 warning or black rainstorm warning already entails extreme weather. If, after such warnings, the city is still unsuitable for work because of transport disruptions, flooding, or road blockages, the government will cite extreme conditions as a remedy. He adds that a citywide power outage will also constitute an extreme condition. Eric Chan says the Extreme Weather Steering Committee, which he chairs, did not meet at the time over Tuesday's situation. Instead, the Emergency Monitoring and Support Center was put into operation automatically and was instructed by director-level officials straight away. A cleaner employed by a highways department contractor died while working in Wong Tai Sin. The cleaner reportedly fainted on a pedestrian bridge near the Ma Chai Hang Recreation Playground. The police were called at around 10 a.m. and told a 63-year-old had passed out. The Fire Services Department arrived at the scene and sent him to Caritas Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. The Highways Department expressed their condolences and says the contractor has reached out to the family of the deceased to provide necessary assistance. A traffic accident involving an 80-year-old taxi driver has reignited concerns about the potential risks posed by elderly commercial vehicle drivers. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan said the proposal to make medical examinations for elderly drivers more strict will be submitted to the Legislative Council no later than the first quarter of next year. Samantha Lee tells us more.
Just a few days ago, a Filipino tourist died after being hit by a taxi outside a hotel in Chunwan. The 80-year-old taxi driver was suspected to have suddenly lost control of the vehicle. Currently, commercial vehicle drivers aged 70 or above are required to hand in fitness reports so that they can renew their driving licenses. 2 years ago, the government proposed increasing the target group to people aged 65 or older and adding tests. But not much news about the bill has been heard yet.
睇下邊一啲方面咧係可以去加強啦，同埋細。
Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chen said the consultation process has come to the final stage. She said the authorities are considering making some of the fitness requirements more strict, and body checks could also cover conditions such as glaucoma, as well as more detailed hearing tests. She said a list will also be rolled out to help drivers to find doctors for medical examination certificates. Regarding the opinion there should be restrictions on the age of drivers of certain types of vehicle, Chen believes that should take Hong Kong's aging population into consideration. Chen noted about 1/3 of commercial vehicle drivers in the city are aged over 65, so the government should be careful when making such regulations, which could affect their livelihoods and create social issues. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The new chief executive of the hospital authority, Libby Lee, says she hopes to leverage technology in a bid to reduce patients' waiting times. Dr. Lee said shortening patients' queuing times is one of her top priorities. She said authorities are looking into streamlining medical services so patients can make bookings for all follow-up procedures in one go without having to queue up separately for each service. Meanwhile, she has vowed to improve communication with medical staff. U.S. President Donald Trump says he will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin next Friday in Alaska to negotiate an end to the 3.5-year war with Ukraine. Nasri Karim with more.
Ukrainian soldiers in a hurry to reach their position somewhere in Zaporizhia province in the east. They worked the howitzers in trying to defend their land, one of 4 provinces Russia claims it annexed months after invading Ukraine in February 2022. They hope their efforts do not go to waste, with the main stumbling block to peace between Russia and Ukraine being the future of the land they are defending, along with Kherson, Donetsk and Luhansk. Russia wants to keep the 4 provinces and Ukraine wants them back. U.S. President Donald Trump, who says he will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska on August 15th, said Kyiv may need to back down.
President Putin, I believe, wants to see peace, and Zelensky wants to see peace. Well, you're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy. It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both.
Trump announced a meeting on his social media platform during Friday's deadline for Moscow to reach a ceasefire or face extra U.S. sanctions. It's not clear if those sanctions have yet been applied. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky remains adamant, saying his country won't gift its land to the occupiers. He also fears being sidelined by the Trump-Putin meeting, saying any decisions made without Ukraine would be stillborn decisions. We will not reward Russia for what it perpetrated, he said. We want peace, but the answer to the Ukrainian territorial question is in our constitution, and no one will deviate from this. Putin also insists that Russia keeps the Crimea Peninsula in the Black Sea, which Moscow annexed in 2014. During Trump's first term as president, he met Putin 6 times, the key summit being in Helsinki in July 2018. That was when Trump stood next to Putin and appeared to accept his insistence that Moscow had not interfered in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. With Zelensky desperate to be included in negotiations, Trump was asked if he would ever be able to arrange a meeting with all 3 leaders.
I think my instinct really tells me that we have a shot at it, okay? And you'll find that out later on, and maybe even today, but we have a shot at it. Look, it's got to be solved.
Nasri Karim, TVB News.
The U.S. Department of Commerce officially approved Nvidia's export license to supply H20 chips for the Chinese market. That's said to be the outcome of efforts from the chipmaker CEO Jensen Huang, who lobbied U.S. President Donald Trump. In response to export restrictions from Washington, Nvidia has developed H20 chips specifically for the Chinese market. During his visit to China last month, CEO Jensen Huang said the White House would lift ban on the H20 chips. But after 3 weeks, the Ministry of Commerce still had not handed out the export license. The Financial Times reported Huang lobbied Trump in person at the White House on Wednesday. A few weeks before former U.S. President Joe Biden left office, he announced tightening chip export controls to China. After Trump returned to the White House, he banned Nvidia from selling H20 to China. Nagasaki is marking the U.S. atomic attack on the southern Japanese city 80 years ago, and survivors are working to make their hometown the last place on Earth hit by the bomb. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba laid a wreath at Nagasaki Peace Park at 11:02 a.m., the exact time an atomic bomb exploded above the city on August 9, 1945, killing around 70,000 people. The bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki came 3 days after Hiroshima was attacked, ending World War II. As the bell rang out, participants observed a moment of silence. About 2,600 people, including representatives from more than 90 countries, attended the event. Nagasaki Mayor Shiro Suzuki, whose parents survived the attack, said he hopes the city is the last place on Earth to ever suffer a nuclear attack. And still ahead, at the World Games in Chengdu, martial arts athlete Anthony Yeung wins Hong Kong's second gold medal. Reactions to Israel's decision to occupy Gaza City. China's ambassador to Vanuatu set sights on boosting the island nation's tourism. Welcome back. At this year's World Games in Chengdu, Hong Kong's martial arts athlete Anthony Yeung reigned supreme in the men's Tai Chi Chuan and Tai Chi Jian combined event, clinching the city's second gold of the tournament. On day one, Yeung put in a commanding display in Tai Chi Chuan, nabbing the highest score of 9.766 to take the lead. Keeping composed in the Tai Chi Jian on day two, Yeung earned the second place in the sword event. The combined total of 19.526 was just enough, edging Japan's Tomohiro Araya by a 0.05 margin to seal the second gold for Hong Kong. The first-time gold medalist at the World Games says he's not chasing the medal tally. He's there to enjoy the sport. He also sees the Games as a warm-up ahead of the Asian Games, with his sights now set on the World Championships in 2 weeks. 42 people were arrested on suspicion of illegally riding electric bikes. 42 electric bikes were seized by the police. The arrestees included 39 men and 3 women aged between 18 and 66. They were accused of driving unlicensed electric bikes and riding on pavements. According to the police, 11 arrestees allegedly drove electric bikes to deliver takeaway food. All of the arrestees have been released on bail pending further investigations. The 4 said electric bicycles can go as fast as over 50 kilometers per hour, almost like a motorcycle. Anyone who drives unlicensed vehicles can be imprisoned for 12 months and fined up to $10,000. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory in the war against Japanese aggression. A ceremony was held in Saigon. At the Memorial Monument for Martyrs during World War II, a minute of silence was observed. In attendance were Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism Rosanna Law, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mack, among others. The Japanese military invaded Hong Kong in 1941. There has been a lot of reaction inside and outside of Gaza to Israel's decision to escalate the war with Hamas and occupy Gaza City. There was widespread condemnation around the world and defiance from inside the Strip. David Garrett reports.
The already besieged Gaza City could soon be under complete Israeli control. The war cabinet voted to seize this area, which is already home to displaced people. Mahmoud says there is nowhere else to be displaced to, so he says he will stay in Gaza City when the troops come. One of many Palestinians reacting to Israel's plans to expand their war with Hamas. Children living in makeshift accommodation shield themselves from the sun. There will be little to stop the Israeli troops controlling life here. Doa says she fears for all children. For the Israelis, it's not enough to destroy our homes, she says. China and several European countries condemning Israel's decision at the United Nations.
This escalation by the Israeli government is going in total contradiction to the will of the international community, international law, and common sense. And I even dare to say against the wish of the majority of the people inside Israel.
On the beach in Tel Aviv, an appeal to Donald Trump to put a stop to Benjamin Netanyahu's latest push, which opponents say will risk the lives of the hostages that are still alive.
A decision by the American president to use all his power of persuasion, all his influence, and say to Benjamin Netanyahu, enough is enough. You have to stop it. If Trump will do it, it will make a difference.
There's no start date and more Israeli troops will need to be called up. The families of hostages mobilising. Their regular rally more prescient following the approval of Prime Minister Netanyahu's new plan.
This decision is going to cause a lot of unwanted death of more soldiers and hostages. Take this down. Stop it now. Bring all hostages back in one deal. Stop the war now.
IDF video of their latest attack on what they say is a Hamas arms depot as US envoy Steve Witkoff meets with Qatar's Prime Minister, with mediation still continuing to try to broker a peace deal before further escalation. David Garrett, TVB News.
The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan shook hands Friday at a White House peace summit before signing an agreement aimed at ending decades of conflict. Daniel Rao tells us more.
The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan joined US President Donald Trump at the White House for a peace summit where they signed an agreement aimed at ending decades of conflict. The deal includes an agreement that will create a major transit corridor to be named the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. That route will connect Azerbaijan and its autonomous Nakhchivan exclave, which are separated by a 32-kilometer wide patch of Armenian territory. The demand from Azerbaijan had held up peace talks in the past. Separate from the joint agreement, both Armenia and Azerbaijan signed deals with the United States meant to bolster cooperation in energy, technology and the economy.
The country of Armenia and Azerbaijan are committing to stop all fighting forever, open up commerce, travel, and diplomatic relations, and respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, so importantly. And I just spent a lot of time with these two men. I think they're going to have a great relationship. You want to know the truth? They didn't see each other that much, but they probably will. I think they're going to have. I think you two are going to have a great relationship. I have no doubt. And if you don't, call me and I'll straighten it out. Okay.
Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev said the transit corridor will create connectivity opportunities for so many countries. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan called the agreement a significant milestone and success for the countries, their region and the world. They joined a growing list of foreign leaders who have said Trump should receive a Nobel Peace Prize, something he has coveted. The signing of a deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan, both former Soviet republics, strikes a geopolitical blow to Russia. Throughout the nearly 4-decade conflict, Moscow played mediator to expand its clout in the strategic South Caucasus region. But its influence waned quickly after it launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Senior U.S. administration officials said the Trump brokered deal would allow the U.S. to deepen its reach in the region as Moscow retreats. Dan Raul, TV News.
This year marks the 43rd anniversary of diplomatic ties between China and Vanuatu. China's ambassador to Vanuatu, Li Mingang, says he hopes direct flights between China and the island nation can be launched soon. South Pacific island nation Vanuatu is home to about 320,000 people. Agriculture and tourism, being the backbones of its economy, account for about 1/3 of the country's gross domestic product. However, the country has no direct flights from the Chinese mainland or Hong Kong, and travelers must transit through places such as Fiji and Australia. The TVB filming cruise journey, including transit, took almost 20 hours. Speaking to the media, China's ambassador to Vanuatu, Li Mingang, stressed Vanuatu's tourism industry has great potential. Li says Vanuatu boasts pristine white beaches in the north, while the south is home to the famous Mount Yasur volcano. Over the past few years, he has worked to promote people-to-people exchanges and direct flights to facilitate visits of Chinese tourists, including entrepreneurs, to Vanuatu. Li adds that Vanuatu's economy is relatively small, making it pivotal to scout partners to boost its development. He says Hong Kong has the edge to play a role in deepening cooperation between China and Vanuatu because Hong Kong serves as an important window connecting Chinese and world civilizations. Over the past 2 years, Lee has accompanied Vanuatu leaders to visit China. He says they would always make time to stop in Hong Kong. They find the city enjoyable and are especially fond of Hong Kong's culture and food. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.